Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast. Today on the video, we're going to dig into a Pink Floyd reissue. Should you get yourself an original pressing? Should you seek out this new remix and remaster? I'm going to tell you all about it. Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast. As I always tell you at some point in the video, we'll get it out of the way right at the start. Make sure to hit the subscribe button below. Hit the little bell so it reminds you that when we have a new video, which will be coming at you every Thursday morning. And make sure you go to your favorite podcast subscription service. Search for the Infectious Groove Podcast. You get to hear not just me talk about music, but you also get the wonderful tones of Kyle and Michelle. And we have a new episode of that every Monday for you. You can also, actually now you can go to Teespring and look for the Infectious Groove Podcast. And we have a whole shirt, including our sweet Michelle-based No Stinkers shirt. And you can find that and our jukebox sketch shirt and all of our merch there if you want to rep the Infectious Groove Podcast. As far as this video goes, I'm going to break down the differences in a couple of Pink Floyd releases for you today. If you listen to the show or if you've seen any of our videos, you know Pink Floyd is a top 5 band for me. Probably my favorite band of all time if I really break it down. And today we are going to talk about the do's and don'ts of reissues and remasters, and we're going to do that with an original pressing of the Delicate Sound of Thunder against the new 3 LP Delicate Sound of Thunder remix and remaster that came out late last year. Now, for me, the dirtiest word in this reissue right here is remix, and we'll get into a little bit of why. So first of all, this is not very rare, but I thought I'd show it off to everybody because it's getting increasingly rare, unfortunately. And I believe going forward, the remix and remaster is pretty much going to be the only copy that's pushed. But for those of you that don't know, this is a 2 LP kind of live album memorabilia keepsake of the 1987 through 1990 Momentary Lapse of Reason tour. First tour without Roger, so Pink Floyd kind of had a lot to prove. Came out with quite an amazing light show, really put them back on the map as far as what you got in a concert when you went to see Pink Floyd. And at the time, it was a little divisive because they reworked some songs. Money is a little bit more showish, like almost like a show tune type thing with like the woo-woos added. If you've heard the record, you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of the stuff was very straightforward versions. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Wish You Were Here. Comfortably Numb is actually very divisive on here because it's almost got like a metal feel to it, real dark, different version. But the solo on it from David Gilmour, the second solo, is the stuff of reverence. It's what people love, what they come to David Gilmour for as far as guitar playing goes. So pretty standard pressing, pretty cool gatefold when you pull it out. Now, today, this probably looks very remedial as far as a light show goes, but at the time, it was really something, and people were quite amazed by it. Now, as far as that goes, you've got your 3 members of Pink Floyd, and then an army of studio musicians and touring folks who helped out flesh out the sound. A lot of people, when this record came out, really wanted to come down on Floyd about that, not even thinking about the fact that Floyd had really been employing additional musicians since the Wish You Were Here tour, definitely on Animals and certainly on the Wall tour. So adding musicians to the Pink Floyd sound live wasn't nearly as big of a deal as a lot of people made it out to be. And then as far as the inner sleeves go, paper printed sleeves, and of course I replaced them with the static inner sleeves. But with this being over 2 LPs, you got about, I would say, 3/4 of the actual set list that Pink Floyd was doing at the time. They definitely made sure to hit most of the hits that they were doing at the time. Like I say, Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Learning to Fly was a really big single for Pink Floyd at the time. Their first piece of material without Roger Waters. So that's included. But the first LP is really heavy on material from the current record at the time, A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Then the second record is pretty much all hits. One of These Days, Time, Money, Brick in the Wall, Wish You Were Here, Comfortably Numb, Run Like Hell. And one thing that's a bummer about the original vinyl release of Delicate Sound of Thunder is that the cassette and the CD of Delicate Sound of Thunder had Us and Them on it, and which I think is a really good version of it. It's a little different intro than the version that's on the Dark Side of the Moon. And it's not included on the vinyl. which has always been a big bummer for me. That's one that I would definitely have included if there was time given on the record, but they wanted to keep it to 2 LPs for easy sale in 1990. So for years, many of us Pink Floyd fans have wanted them to do some sort of reissue of the record and not only replace, put Us and Them back where it goes in the set, but include a lot of the other songs that were done on the tour that weren't included in the original. Like, for example, they were doing Welcome to the Machine from Wish You Were Here on that tour, but it wasn't included in any version of The Delicate Sound of Thunder. So you fast forward to 2019, and here now we get this 3 LP set. So it's 3 LPs instead of 2. You get really, in my opinion, this is really cool packaging. Die cut, which is really sweet when you pull out the records and you get the expanded booklet. No matter what record you put in the front of this, you get Mr. Screen with the lights all around, and then a different image can be displayed there, which I think is kind of cool. The original light bulb guys from the original cover, but in a new, with sitting on the momentary lapse of reason bed instead of out in the desert. So it's a cool homage to the original cover art. The big plus to this is that you get the set list in the running order that they did it on that tour. Now, this does have Shine On You Crazy Diamond as an opener. If you're a Pink Floyd aficionado, you probably know that they did open a couple of shows with Echoes, but they did that very early in the tour, and they stopped doing Echoes for one reason or another, and it was permanently replaced in the other 2.5 years of the tour with Shine On You Crazy Diamond. So I personally am not at all upset about the omission of Echoes. By the time they got around to recording this record, this was the set list that they were doing. So on the hype sticker, and the way that this was presented, they kept saying 9 new songs, 9 new songs, 9 new songs, which I get is real because you do get things like Us and Them is restored to this, and you get Welcome to the Machine, which was never on an original pressing of it. And that's all fine and good, but the majority of the new songs are all from A Momentary Lapse of Reason, which is a very divisive Pink Floyd record in the first place. Plus, they count things like A New Machine Part 1 and A New Machine Part 2 as additional songs, when those really aren't songs at all. If you know the record A Momentary Lapse of Reason, those are just a cappella, effects-laden lyrics from David Gilmour. They're not songs. So little things like that I think are a little tricky, that I don't think they should have said, you know, this is a new song. But I do like the inclusion of One Slip, which was only on the VHS version of Delicate Sound of Thunder, and it was at the end of the show after Comfortably Numb and before Run Like Hell. So not only is it replaced in the audio where it should be for the first time, but it's right in the exact running order of the set list, which I thought was kind of a bold move to do a huge hit in Comfortably Numb, leave the crowd wanting more, and then have the nerve to come back and do a song that was barely a hit in One Slip off your newest record, kind of sandwich that between Comfortably Numb and Run Like Hell. I thought that was kind of funny. So I'm going to continue on with the good things, and then I'm going to get to some very bad things that I personally don't like. You might love it, and I'll get into how and why you might love it. As far as the overall packaging goes, the big book that comes with it is pretty slick. I think most Floyd fans probably would have seen these pictures over the years. A lot of different candid shots on stage and whatnot of the 3 main Floyd members, a little bit about all the places that they went on the tour and where it was recorded and whatnot. So it's a nice book. It's not anywhere near as nice as the big hardcover book that comes with Pulse. And if you're seeing this, it's way thinner than that, so you should expect that. But it is nice. It's a nice addition to a set that only ever had the paper inner sleeves with tiny pictures on it. So that's nice. The actual packaging on the records themselves, again, each one has a different stage picture. I think these are superimposed as far as the actual video goes, but it's still nice. And you have Rick, Nick, and Dave on each of the inners, which I think is pretty sweet. So if you happen to have a favorite member of Floyd, you can just display that one in the original cover, which is kind of a cool option to have. So having said that, that's all the good stuff about the Delicate Sound of Thunder reissue. And I mentioned earlier in the video that the worst part of it is the remix part of it. I personally am all for remasters when they're done correctly. I love when somebody takes and enhances the sound of something that I've loved for so long. And as far as the remaster aspect of this record, I don't have any problem with it. Songs that were largely untouched, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, One of These Days, a lot of the material that was never available before, Welcome to the Machine, One Slip, A New Machine, things like that. Those songs sound just fine, and there was no reason to remix them. The remix portion of this record is where I have an enormous problem. Time, Money, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, Comfortably Numb, they have massive and completely unnecessary changes to the overall sound of the record, and even timing. There's timing differences on songs like Money, Guy Pratt's bass solo, which if you love Delicate Sound of Thunder, I'm certain one of the high points for you is Guy Pratt's bass solo in Money. It's just missing now. The timing on the entire second solo of Comfortably Numb, which many people come to Pink Floyd for, that second solo in Comfortably Numb, it switches timing halfway through and goes to almost like a double time mess, and just not what you're even remotely used to for a record that's been around for 30 years. Me personally, the original Delicate Sound of Thunder, this was the first Pink Floyd record that I ever bought, and it's because of the versions of Money and Shine On You Crazy Diamond and Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 and Comfortably Numb that I went and dug into the other Pink Floyd records. And I've been listening to this record this way for 30 years, and now all of a sudden the remix aspects of it completely changes it, and I'm going to be honest, not in a good way. A lot of changes that are too jarring, too unnecessary, and really get in the way of the enjoyment of the song. So having said that, what I will tell you is this. If you're a big Floyd fan and you're a completionist, you've probably already bought this record. You're probably watching this because as Pink Floyd fans, we are all opinionated, and we have to argue with each other constantly. It's just in our nature as Pink Floyd fans. So you probably came to this video just to see if you agree with me, and if not, you're going to leave a comment and we'll have ourselves a little discussion. If you have never heard the Delicate Sound of Thunder, I would tell you to go ahead and start here. Start with the remix and remaster, because you might as well get the entire set list. You won't know anything about the changes that were made, and they won't be that intrusive to your listening experience. If you are a big Pink Floyd fan and you're on the fence about this and you love the original sound of Delicate Sound of Thunder, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's worth it to pick up the 3 LP one and get the extra songs from A Momentary Lapse of Reason and have to deal with the intrusive and unneeded changes that were made to the songs that you already know. So that's my rundown of 2 different pressings of the same record from about 30 years apart. I'm a completionist. If you're sitting here watching this going, why is it that you bought this? Because it's on streaming. You should have known about the changes. I did know about the changes. I'm a completionist. I like to own a lot of complete collections by bands, and Pink Floyd being one of my top 5 artists of all time, they were going to get the money from me either way. So that's why I purchased it. But if you're on the fence about it and you're not sure which way to go, hopefully this video has helped you some and you know which way you want to go. If you want to seek out an original pressing of this, stick with the non-changes in the shorter set list, or if you want to dig into this version here. So that's a little bit more information for you on the Delicate Sound of Thunder. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe button below, hit that bell so you get notified every time we have a new video on Thursdays.